This tutorial is to help you understand what the Ableton's audio effect cabinet is. A cabinet is this device here. So if I turn that on, you can see it. And basically it's used a lot of the time along with an amplifier. So you get an amplifier which amplifies sound, and then the cabinet is like the speaker element that outputs the sound. So to show you exactly what that is, I'm going to show you a few different pictures. So these are cabinets and guitar amps. So the top part here would be the guitar amp, or the top part here would be the amp, and this would be the cabinet. So this amplifies the sound, and then it sends the sound out to the cabinet, which has any number of speakers. I'd imagine this one has 4. And depending on the number of speakers, the size of the speakers, and then how you would hook a mic up to this. So basically you would place a mic in front here, and depending on how far away the mic is from the speaker and what angle it's at will dictate what type of sound that it records and what type of sound that you will hear. So basically the cabinet does that. It's to emulate that. So again, you can use it with the amplifier, which is the top part, which would be this section here. So we'll go through with and without, and you can make up your own mind. The cabinet can add some really nice subtle changes to your sound, whether it's adding or subtracting brightness, or just adding a little bit of color to your sound. So I'll go through some of the different versions that there is. So first of all, we'll look at the speaker section of the cabinet. At the minute it says 4 times 12. So basically what that's telling you is there's 4 12-inch speakers within the cabinet. So if we look at our picture again, there would basically be 4 12-inch speakers in that cabinet. So that's going to give you a particular type of sound. So let's look at the drop down menu. So 4 12-inch is going to sound louder than 1 12-inch, you would imagine. So keep that in mind when you're deciding which one that you're going to use. Again, different speakers will give you different tonality, so it depends on the type of tone and sound that you're after. Now you might not know initially, and that's fine. Experiment, explore, and see how you get on. So what I have done is I've used the electric instrument within Ableton. So I have that just set up, and I'm gonna pop that through the amp. This thing here is just showing, it can show you which chords that are being played, so don't need to worry about that. So again, I have the amp turned off, and we're going to just start off with the cabinet first of all, listen to it by itself, and then we'll pop on an amp as well, and you can see them working together. So I'll play this, it's an 8-bar sequence, so let's play this first of all without any effects, and then we'll add the effects. So it's coming up to bar 8, and I'm going to pop this on. You'll hear a slight change. Now I'm going to change the speaker type to 1 12-inch speaker. That doesn't sound as bright. 2 12-inch speakers. Sounds a bit brighter. 4. That sounds a little bit more hollow. So it nearly kind of sounds like a square wave or something like that. Let's move on. This is for 10-inch speakers. That's a wee bit brighter. And then this is for bass, so that wouldn't be as bright as for low frequency sound. So it depends on the sound you're putting through this, will determine which one of these things work. Now, you probably haven't heard a massive difference there between all of these, and that's fine. You will eventually. If we move on now to the microphone type, I'm just going to stop that a wee second. So you've got different types of microphones, so let's look at what they are. You have near, on axis, and then near, off axis. So what is the difference between these things? Well, basically, on axis will mean that the microphone will be pointed directly at the cabinet, which holds the speakers. So basically, the microphone is going to be right beside the 4 12-inch speakers. So if we go back to our photo again, second. Right, okay, so if we go back to this one here, so basically the microphone will be pointing directly at that, and you're going to get the sound directly hitting the microphone. And this is really important as well, because if you change the angle of the mic, it will change the way the sound hits the mic, and it will change the sound that you hear and perceive. So let's try that. So we're on axis, off axis. So on axis is nice and bright compared to off. Now there's different types of, well actually, let's try one other microphone placement option. It's far away. So that's actually emulating the space, and basically, if you have a speaker playing within a room, the room then acts as a speaker as well because the sound bounces off the wall. If you have a microphone in that room and you have it further away from the cabinet, you're then getting a mixture of the sound coming from the speakers in the cabinet and also the sounds reflecting off the surfaces of the room and hitting the microphone as well. So it sounds more reverb-like. I'll have a listen. Not as clear, not as bright, but you're getting like a kind of reverb delay type sound. So it depends on what you're after. Now, there's two different output modes within this as well, and then you have different types of mics. So let's discuss those. Let's start off first of all with the types of mics. We have a dynamic mic at the minute, which is used for more close miking. They can handle louder sounds, and it's much grittier than a condenser mic. So a dynamic mic would be something like a Shure SM57 or 58. So let's go SM58. These are used quite a lot. So if we go to images here, you can see that. So this would be a dynamic mic. And then if we type in condenser mic, you'll see the difference. Now I'm actually using a condenser mic to record this tutorial. So it's very, very similar to something like this, or this one here. So yeah, it's a larger mic. It records sound in a slightly different way, and it's more accurate, and it's used for kind of miking up, stuff from a distance. But yeah, you can use it for pretty much anything, to be honest with you. Sometimes if you're throwing loud sounds at it, it's not great for the mic. But because we're using Ableton and it's only an emulation, that's fine. You can try either or. You're not going to do any damage. So let's go back to it again, and we'll try both different types of mics. So that's dynamic. So that's like the SM58, the first one I showed you. And then this is the condenser one. So this is like the one that I showed you last there. Okay. So once you change these, if you change some of the options, that's going to change the sound as well. There's a lot more reverb in that one and delay in that one. Okay, now let's use this in conjunction with an amplifier. There's the amplifier on. There's a separate tutorial for that as well if you're interested. Now let's try the different speakers. You can really hear this come to life now. I like this. A wee bit bright. Take the brightness down a little. But I don't want to take it down too much. That's a dynamic mic. Condenser. I'm happier with a condenser. Now let's look at the output. We have dual and mono. So I had it playing in dual. I'm going to switch back and forward so you can hear the difference. Basically, it processes the signal in a different way. So if you have a stereo signal, you're probably better off using dual because it processes stereo signals. It basically processes your left and your right side. If it's set to mono, that will process the stereo sound in mono. So it depends on what you want to do. There's pros and cons for both of these. You can try it out and see what sounds best, but also do it in your mix because in the context of your mix, one might work better than the other. Not to confuse you anymore, but it's just something to be aware of. So this is mono. Dual. So this is a wee bit brighter and richer. Now, a lot of this doesn't really kick in properly until you press a bit of reverb in, and so we're going to do that next. So have a listen to the difference. Bring in some lower notes here as well so you can hear them. bad playing on my part. So yeah, there you go. So that's basically the cabinet. There's no more to it than that. So experiment and enjoy, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.